Welcome to Zolder for the 45th edition of the Zolder 24 Hours, the third round of the Belcar Endurance Championship 2023. There's double points here, 50% after 6, 50% after 12 hours, and full points after 24 hours. And we start off with a parade on Wednesday towards the center of Zolder. There was lots of people, everybody was able to admire these beautiful cars from very close up. Many Porsches, many BMWs, a few changes as well in the starting field. Leader PK Carsport has changed its Audi GT2 to a Porsche 911.
Het is vooral belangrijk voor de supporters.
It's especially important for the supporters, this, isn't it? We drove from Zolder to here and there were lots of people along the road, lots of kids too. The new supporters, as we will call them. And then if you see these 43 cars, there's plenty of people, plenty of cars, nice weather. It's a great atmosphere. And the striking Fiat is among the participants as well.
Wij zijn niet de snelste auto.
We are not the fastest car in the class. We're a little short on power. There are plenty more powerful cars in our class. So we will mainly have to focus on fuel consumption. With our fuel tank, I think we can do stints of 2.5 hours, maybe even 3 hours.
Tegen de 3 uur aandoen.
The drivers also appreciate this parade.
Ik vind het super leuk. Ik vind het echt
I think it's super fun. I think the parade, driving here is super fun. I like seeing so many people here. Just being able to chat with everyone, I think that's really great.
Ja, top. Ik denk dat Zolder hard gewerkt heeft.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think people of Zolder worked very hard. We have 41, 42 cars in the parade, and last year we had 36 or 37, and we're coming out of a bad period where at one point there were only 16 cars at the start. So the people of Circuit Zolder have done a good job. On Thursday, the starting positions would be determined during the Super Pole, and it was Xavier Maassen at the wheel of the Q1 track racing Porsche that set the fastest time.
Ja, heerlijk. Super Pole is altijd fantastisch.
It's great, isn't it? Super Bowl is always fantastic. Yeah, you can drive all alone on the circuit with really hot tires. It was a fantastic lap. We had everything well organized. We had a good tip because the first corner was still a bit damp on the outside. So we had everything well organized, and with the 4 tenths ahead, we took pole, which was quite special. Maassen beat Glenn van Parijs of Team August by NGT by 4 tenths, and Dylan Pereira, the new driver of PK Carsport for this event, by more than half a second. And fourth was Sam de Jonge's Red Ant Racing Porsche, and the first non-Porsche was the VDS Racing Adventures Marcars Mustang, driven by Nathan van Springel. Pole in the GTB class was for Cedric Wouters after the cancellation of the Total Plan Racing Lamborghini. Wouters had to look for another car and found it in the Hannover BMW. In touring cars, Maxime van den Hoven set the fastest time in TA with the Cupra TCR for GTE Racing.
Ja, ik ben heel tevreden met de Super.
Yes, I'm pretty happy with the Super Pole. I actually didn't expect it when I crossed the finish line, and then I saw my lap time, but I'm super happy. Also for the whole team and for myself, it's a nice achievement. And this is the starting grid of these all 24 hours Q1 track racing on pole, followed by the Porsches of August by NGT, PK Carsport and Red Ant Racing. But it was also very wet on Thursday during free practice, so my cars spun around, fortunately without much damage. Here's one of the Belgium racing Porsches going around. And one of the Red Ant 911s did exactly the same thing on exactly the same spot. Fastest in the rain was the Belgium racing Porsche though, and since rain was expected for the race, they might be the favorite if these conditions are there. But there was sunshine at the start with plenty of animation and plenty of people attending the event. 30,000 fans were present on Saturday, and that's a great thing.
Het gaat een heel spannende wedstrijd worden.
It will be a very exciting race. We have already seen a Super Pole this week. I think 5 or 6 teams can easily claim victory. It will depend on tactics and know how to avoid dangers and have a little luck as well, of course.
Natuurlijk.
Zolder is een overlevingsslag.
Zolder is always surviving with any type of car. We experienced that last year as well. So it's a matter of staying out of trouble and staying on track as much as possible.
Ik denk dat ik de eerste keer gereden heb in
I think I took part in the first one in 1992 and I've missed only 2 editions since then, so that it's pretty much. So what are your expectations then? We will try to start calmly, follow the group and not necessarily take many risks. If we get to the morning without any problems, we will probably have a good ranking.
En dan denk ik dat we wel redelijk goed zullen geclasseerd zijn.
Some had some issues during Superpole and started a bit further behind.
Moeilijke Superpole gehad, dus we staan.
It was a difficult Superpole, so we started a little bit further behind, but that in itself doesn't really affect the race, which is super long. But the nervousness is rising a bit, and that's not too bad so far. Half an hour to go, and then we'll go all through to the first corner together. It's not that wide, so that will be exciting. And then we're getting ready for the start at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, with Jan Laurijsen driving the Q1 Racing Porsche on pole position. Is everybody going to get to the first corner without any damage? It looks so. Laurijsen leading from Glenn van Parijs in the August by NGT Porsche. And we're taking the start with the Russell Racing Porsche of Gilles Magnussen. Look how many cars he already passes in that first straight. A very good start from Gilles Magnussen. This is the PK Carsport Porsche, and that is exactly the opposite of the Russell Racing Porsche. Started from 3rd and dropped to 7th or 8th here. Passing the 55, the Q1 Racing Porsche as well. Laurijsen then leading from Van Parijs, then De Jonge, and Magnus is already up to 4th. Laurijsen, winner of the previous round in Spa when he did the 3-hour race all by himself. And there's plenty of Porsches there at the front. And this is the opening lap as well. A bit of a moment for the Lemira. Fortunately, no damage, so he can continue. PK Carsport Porsche getting back to the front now after a bit of a poor start. But it was Gilles Magnussen that was the hero of that opening few laps. He moved from 7th to 3rd. And then there's a first full course yellow after the chevron was stuck in the gravel trap in the 69, and takes advantage of that moment to make a pit stop. We're only at the beginning of the race, and I hope that's all the trouble that we have. We had a little contact in the second chicane. I already asked to come in before, but we continued anyway. Still, I think it's better that we get everything right again, because we still have a long way to go. The JJ Motorsport BMW had a good start in the small TB class, the small touring cars. It's 3rd after a couple of hours. That class is led by this Clio, the JFD by PJ Motorsport Clio.
De start is heel goed verlopen.
We had a good start. The car consumes a little bit more than expected, but tire wear is perfect, and so are the lap times. In TA, the big touring car class couldn't do it in the PK Carsport. BMW briefly takes the lead, but he would lose it pretty quickly as well. These BMWs of Steven Motorsport and GNA Racing were in contention as well in the TA class, but the class was led by the Cupra TCR of Maxime van den Hove. The Swift Racing events at Toyota Supra was 3rd in GTB, the small GT class, behind the BMS BMW. And the class was led by the pole sitter Cedric Wouters in the Hannover BMW. He was also just outside the top 10 overall. Stinus Longin at the wheel of the PK Carsport Porsche, trying to get to the front. He was just behind the 21, the Red Ant Racing Porsche, who had some issues in the early hours. All went well though for the Russell Racing Porsche. Good pit stop here, and off they went. The Mark VDS car just kept it inside the top 10, but really was no danger for the Porsches at the moment. And here's the 54, the leader Jan Laurijsen, who was a bit unfortunate when that full course yellow came out. Sam de Jonge still among the contenders.
Heel goed, heel clean.
It was very good, very clean. Quite quiet actually, I have to be honest. In this race you always have to focus. The start was clean. And then there was a lot of fighting between the Porsches, and apparently Glenn van Parijs no longer recognizes the blue flags today. It's sometimes difficult, but we managed to get past, and then we just drove calmly, as you have to do in an endurance race.
Curbs en alle dingen die je moet doen met een endurance race.
The 99 then, Belgium Racing. In fourth after 2 hours. And Jan Lorentzen lost the lead because of that full course yellow.
Ja, dat is echt bang.
Yeah, that really was too bad. I was just passing the pits and I had a bad radio connection. I just heard full course yellow, so we should have come in, but too bad because I really had a good rhythm.
Pace en nou.
And then night falls over Zolder. There's plenty of changes in positions, of course, due to the pit stops. Some full course yellows as well. In the TB class, after 6 hours, the 83 of VDW Motorsport is in second. Only one lap behind the leaders. And that's this JJ Motorsport BMW 330i. Leading the TB class. Pit stop for the 51 then. The Roma Racing by BMW team Van der Horst. One of the contenders in TA, so that's the big touring car class. It was in fifth after 6 hours. 24 was in third. Matthijs Liesman, Tom Bonen, Koen Witt and Alan Day in the PK car sport. Just behind GNA Racing BMW.
Laatste ronde eigenlijk als ik binnenkwam heb ik...
In my last lap I had a contact with another driver. Maybe he thought I would overtake him, but I had to come into the pit lane. It was a bit of a misunderstanding. He went out, I went in. But it was a very small tap, nothing bad. But I couldn't get into the pit lane on that lap.
Niemand, maar ik kan gewoon niet meer binnen die ronde, dus het was een beetje...
In the GTB class in third position is a tip-top ranked Porsche Cayman of Arthur Peters, among others. The BMS Motorsport BMW M4 is still in second. It already has a 4-lap deficit on the Hannover Motorsport BMW, still leading. With Rob, Chris and Mark Verhoeven being joined by Cedric Wouters. Brake issues for the number 1 Porsche. Some time lost there.
Het team heeft er heel goed op getraind om...
The team is well trained to make quick changes, and Bert is now at the wheel. I had a good stint. I followed the team orders. I've done everything that was assigned to me. So it wasn't too bad. It's a bit humid and warm and a bit damp, but it's nice to drive though.
Fijn voor het rijden.
Calm opening hours for the August by NGT Porsche of Van Parijs Salons for Don Guillaume and Laurent. They're in fifth after 6 hours. 54 has dropped to third. The early leader with the Red Ant Racing of Sam de Jonge, Yannick and Ayrton Redant and Kobe de Breuker in second. And it's still the Russell Racing Porsche of Korten van Hooydonk, Thiers Magnussen, Thiers leading after 6 hours. 1 lap in hand over plenty of other Porsches, as you can see. That was the end of the first part of our report. See you after the break. Back to the Zolder 24 hours, the third round of the Belcar Endurance Championship, and there's an issue for the leader. He can't get off the wheel on the number 2 Porsche.
We zaten volledig op schema.
We were completely on schedule until after my double stint, when I come in for the tires change. Then the left rear wheel would not come loose and the central wheel nut was stuck, and we had to replace the entire wheel hub.
Moeten vervangen.
And that cost a lot of time, obviously. And the former leader, but then they had to retire as well, the 54 Q1 Racing Porsche, also with wheel hub problems.
Ja, het is echt een drama.
Yes, it's really a drama for us. Both cars had the same issue with a half-an-hour difference, and that has now caused other issues as well, because there are now problems with the drive shaft on the 55 as well, so that has cost us a lot of time.
55.
Everybody tries to get some sleep during the night hours, but that is not that easy.
Ik heb gelegen in de mobilhome.
I laid down in the mobilhome, and then I kept hearing the cars. And then there was the party in the tent as well. So I haven't slept much. You know very well when it's full course yellow, because it then suddenly becomes a bit quieter. But then you take your phone to see what happened. Where are we? And then everything. No, so sleeping is not really a good thing. And the night begins for the fans, and that is one of the highlights of the Zolder 24 hours as well. Until it starts to rain, and that is very difficult for the teams. Trying to make the right tyre choice, staying out of trouble, and that's the main thing now. And when the rain stops, BEC Carsport will be the first to go back to slicks, but maybe a bit too early. Bert Langin goes off in his outlap, and that costs him a couple of laps.
This
morning we had to switch to slicks, but it was a bit too early. I was first on the track, but in the first right-hand corner the rear wheels locked up and I went off.
Blokkeerde de achterwielen en ik ging rond.
And then it's dawn over the Zolder circuit. And there were some changes in the rankings. The 34 car was leading TB, the JJ Motorsport BMW. Still followed by the 83, the VDW Motorsport. 4 laps between them. And then there's still a fight going on in TA as well between the Stevens Motorsport and the Biljeman by GNA Racing. They were still at the same lap. But leading now was the PK Carsport BMW. With former cyclist Tom Bonen at the wheel. In the GTB, the 45 car was in third now, the BMS Motorsport BMW. The 88 BMW of TCL Motorsport was still among the contenders as well. Just outside the podium in the morning hours. The leading GTB was still the Hermofa Motorsport BMW M4 in 9th overall by now. The 63 car was in second in GTB, I should say. Morning hours. Here's Lamera again, and it goes off again. Not the easiest car to keep on the road, apparently. PK Carsport trying to make up for lost time, was up to third in the morning hours. I think we were able to catch up with the leaders during the night. Dylan drove 2 great stints in the rain, and Stines as well. And we did what we had to do with some quick changes, quick brake changes. And most importantly of all, we won 2 or 3 laps, so nothing is lost yet. Belgium Racing Porsche is still among the contenders as well, but they had some issues. Bad luck in the morning, puncture on the front left. It's not even a puncture. After 1 lap, the wheel came loose. The wheel just came off. It's very surprising because we have these conical nuts. After 1 lap, it was gone. I don't really understand what happened, but the most important is that we can continue. The Red End Racing Porsche is still fighting for the lead. After my stint, I made a call for slicks. Maybe it seemed to be too early at the beginning, but I think it was the right choice, and we are now in second place. We have gained 3 positions, so it looks like it was the right choice. The new leader in the morning is this August by NGT Porsche, the number 15.
Het was een heel leuke stint, altijd de mooiste stint.
It was a really fun stint. It was always the most beautiful stint, isn't it? When the sun comes up. It was fun. Track was a bit greasy still. Turn 2 was still a bit slippery. Once the track was okay, the car was top notch, just like yesterday. So happy one for now, fingers crossed. In TA, the 24 BMW still in the lead and now 7th overall. Jürgen van den Broek, another former cyclist in the 77 Porsche, 25th overall in the Porsche Cayman. 6th in GTB, and then another issue for the 99. Lars Kern, guest driver, damages the drive shaft, and winning will become difficult for the 99 then. And then in the afternoon it starts to rain, and the Mark Vidiaz Mustang just goes round without any damage. And it's dry again, and then but it starts raining for the last hour, and Peter Rooms of the Speed Lover Porsche He loses some time here, but he remains in 5th position until the end. But these are the winners of the 2023 Zolder 24 Hours. The August by NGT Porsche, driven by Glenn van Parijs, Nicolas Salens, Nico Verdonk, Rodrigue Guillon and Thomas Laurent. A very emphatic win with 2 laps in hand, and Nico Verdonk very happy about that win.
Ik denk dat het ongeveer de 10e keer.
I think it's the 10th time that I participate in the 24 hours, and in the end I was able to win them now together with Rodrigue Guillon, someone I coach. So this is great for me and my academy. I'm very, very happy.
Heel blij.
Dylan Pereira managed to improve the lap record some 8 or 9 times, but they had to settle for second. Still some good points for the championship. We didn't come here to finish second. We gave everything until the end, tried everything we could to win. Unfortunately, we did not manage to do that, but second place is also, well, good. A good result. We take the points for the team, and this is good for the championship as well. The Red End Racing Porsche finishes in 3rd. Ayrton and Yannick Redant together with Kobe de Burker and Sam de Jonge. It's nice after a hard race. It was full of surprises, lots of rain. We drove very hard, very high level. So in the end, we were pretty happy. The Belgium Racing Porsche had to settle for 4th after that late issue. The 63 was a surprise winner of the GTB car after issues for the Hannover Motorsport BMW. It's my first GT race here in Zolder, and then being able to win it immediately, that's just brilliant. Kenny Hermans, a late substitute on that Porsche of tip-top rent. The 88 finished in 2nd in TCM Motorsport, with the BMS Motorsport always in the top 3, finishing in 3rd. Winners of the TA class, the PK Car Sport BMW of Tom Bonen, among others.
Toen als ze me belden.
They asked me to drive this car. It seems like a solid lineup with drivers that really work each other. But in the touring class, it's always hotly contested. You never know what can happen. But basically, we just had a super solid race with 1 or 2 minor hiccups that cost us some time. But for the rest, we just kept on driving. We drove well. We managed to save the car a bit in the early, and then which allowed us to attack in the second part of the race. And here we are. I'm super proud of this win. And second in the TA class is the 470 of Stevens Motorsport, and it's the Billy Amont by GNA Racing, another BMW, that finishes in 3rd. So a BMW 123 in TA and in TB as well, with a win for the JJ Motorsport BMW 330i. We really didn't expect this. We changed positions with the Van der Water team all night, and unfortunately this morning they had a breakdown with the windshield wiper, and we were able to go for the win, because otherwise it would have been very close, I think. And these are the final results of these Zolder 24 hours. August by NGT wins it from PK Car Sport, 2 laps in hand. Redant Racing, Belgium Racing and Speed Lover complete the top 5. That was it from Zolder. Next round of the Belcar Endurance Championship at the end of September in Oschersleben. See you then.